Hello everyone, Praisedcooter here, and welcome to my top 10. I'm not interrupting anything, am I? Hello everyone, Praisedcooter here, and it's that time of year again where everyone tells you what they think are the best games from this year. And I am not above that notion. The year of 2019 kind of came and went really fast for me. I got acquainted to living a single life, decided that I did not want to be fat anymore, and moved again to live in with a high school friend. But games? Boy, there were a lot of games. More than I had the chance to play this year, but really wanted to. I'm so sorry! Now do be aware that this list of games is my own personal opinion. This is not the end-all be-all, what is the best games from this year. I also want to let you know that I do not own a PlayStation 4, so for anybody hoping to see Kingdom Hearts 3 in this list, you are probably out of luck here. Enough rambling, let's put these games on the chopping block and see where they fall. Before that actual top 10 list though, let's look at some honorable mentions. These are games that came out in previous years that I didn't have a chance to play until recently, or came out this year, but feel that I have not invested enough time into them to consider them for the actual top 10 list itself. And oh boy, there is a lot of them this time around. First off, let's talk strategy with Dicey Dungeons, a game about manipulating dice rolls to clear a randomly generated dungeon full of baddies, surmounting unfavorable odds to beat Lady Luck at her own game. The game is very smart in how it handles manipulation of a traditional D6, but some aspects of it tend to go over my head, as I am still stuck on the Inventors Chapter 1. Secondly, let's talk about a new platformer. To most, New Super Lucky's Tale. New Super Lucky's Tale is a delightful platformer that to most are just now hearing about this. Despite having 2 outings on other platforms, this title came out as a multi-console release this year, and it feels like a culmination of everything that's in a platformer nowadays. Secrets? Yes. Puzzles? Check. Tight controls? You got it. 100% clear requirements? And a little bit more than that. A culmination of everything good in a platformer. And now, Beat Saber. Technically I do not own this game, but I played a good chunk of it thanks to some friends of mine who do own virtual reality equipment. It's another rhythm game on the surface, but the amount of tracks you have access to out of the gate get you moving, get your blood flowing, get you pumped. And speaking of that, it is also a very good form of cardio if you really start getting into the groove. Next up on the list of honorable mentions is River City Girls. I am a young punk when it comes to the River City franchise, this game being my first dive into this franchise itself. But if this is what all the games are like, then I can see why this franchise is loved as much. A complex beat-em-up combat system with a very unique art style that lends itself to the somewhat over-the-top characters and the abilities that those characters have. Another entry on this list being Daemon X Machina. If not for the beat-em-up genre, mech combat games would have to be my favorite genre or subgenre in gaming. The combat in this is fast and flashy. The characters are unique and full of personality, which is kind of a shame because by the time my wingmen complete their mission opening banter, I've completed the mission in question. Plus this game lets me be the brightest colored person in the platoon and having people eventually respect me. And lastly is Sonic Robo Blast 2 Kart, a mod of a mod, a kart racer built on a design for a 3D Sonic game made in the original Doom engine. You would think that would spell disaster, but I would dare say that it is so well made that it would go toe-to-toe with current racing games. The bonus to this game is that because it is made in such an old engine, that making mods for this is incredibly simple and allows for people to add in just about anything that they could want to the game. And having things still be lightweight enough that a smartphone could potentially play this game still. With all that said, let's move on to the actual top 10 list. Number 10. My number 10 entry on this list fails to answer one of life's greatest mysteries. Why is Sonic in a car? Team Sonic Racing is a continuation of the Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing series, but it is experimenting with ways to make the kart racing genre more of a cooperative sport more than a solo gig with prayers to RNGesus going unanswered. Each type of racer has a boon to bring to the game that can drastically impact how you play, or play to your strengths as a racing game fan. Are you a boost freak that needs to drift for 90% of the track? Pick up a speed character and ignore most items being flung at you. Are you a fan of cutting corners and having tight turning controls? Learn the tech and drive on a hazardous terrain. Do you just want to go fast and damned be everything else? Flex your power and leave them in the dust. But the biggest thing is what I drew attention to just a moment before in the team aspect, which can really shake up how you play in general. The big thing you as a team of 3 are attempting to accomplish is building up an effective invincibility and speed boost for a short period of time, otherwise known as a Starman. Getting that can be done by performing your character's appointed skill, allowing your teammates to draft off of you if you are the lead cart on your team, passing your unwanted items to another teammate, or assisting a teammate if they've been knocked out by an enemy attack. This heavily emphasizes you to play in a close pack, have each other's backs, and to share whatever you can to be the best out of the 4 teams of 3. Outside of how the game itself works, there have been small details crafted into the game to pay homage to Sonic's many years in the gaming market, as well as the interactions these characters can have between each other, whether they be spiteful, encouraging, or just dumb. And the music. Sonic's biggest strength in gaming, regardless of how good or bad one of his games is absolutely on point. Every track is a jam and a banger, and you can just rock out to it, even to the tracks that play during that short period of time when you have your team boost. The only thing that really confuses me about this game is why are Cream, Charmy, and Espio not allowed to play?
Number 9.
Gee, I want to play Monster Hunter, but it seems like a lot to take in. If only there was a way to approach that kind of game in a format that I'm familiar with, but also without costing me anything. What's this? Why, it's my number 9 pick filling those exact criteria with Super Kirby Clash. Okay, so it's not the full Monster Hunter experience, but most of the building blocks for it are here. The game is very simple on the surface when you first pick it up, letting you decide on a role you wish to play in the game, or at least attempt it before you stick to a role. As time goes along, you learn how to fight certain types of creatures and know their patterns, fighting stronger creatures to gain access to stronger pieces of gear that lets you continue this process effectively forever. If this isn't the basis of a Monster Hunter game, then I don't know what is. And I clearly do not know Monster Hunter, so I'm probably wrong. This entry brings in enemies from all of Kirby's games, past and present, to the mix, to make for a grand battle against them and a timer. Even enemies that reference black sheeps in the series, such as Kirby Dream Land 3, are on full display here. And the marvel of it all is that if you have fought against the boss in the past, you know exactly how to fight them now. If you haven't, then you can fight them, learn their patterns, and go back to the game that they originally came from and beat them easy as cake. Or pie, whichever is your preference. The main reason this title is on my list this year, though, is that it changed my heart on a matter. It has made me flip from never supporting a free game because they're all cash grabs. This game has shown me that even if a game is free, if there's enough care and support given into a title in this field, and you can see yourself playing it for a period of time enough to consider buying it if it was a full release, to give the development team a little bit of money to reward them for their hard work. Yes, the game does have a free-to-play shtick of paying real money to get better rewards or to refresh your stamina so you can keep playing for longer. But if you keep balancing out your time between playing solo by yourself with AI counterparts or playing online with random people, you will never run out of stamina. And in turn, never run out of chances to get that trophy against a certain boss or advance to a higher rank, or get a piece of gear that you've really been eyeing up. All in all, Super Kirby Clash is a good introduction to the free-to-play games genre if you have never tried it in the past. Or, as I mentioned before, a good entry point into a Monster Hunter style kind of game.
Number 8.
4 blocks tied together, falling forever, bringing us the number 8 entry on this list with Tetris 99. Tetris is something you can't really do too much with to make it different. Drop blocks, chase a high score, repeat. Tetris 99, however, adds in a feature from my favorite iteration of the series from Tetris DS, which is the versus online play. I cannot tell you how many hours I've sunk into Tetris DS's online multiplayer mode, with or without items. that I wouldn't be shocked if that is my most played game on my Nintendo DS. And doing that again against 98 other people is great. This game is free with Nintendo's online services, and as such they've been organizing occasional tournaments with themes to collect that you can use at your own leisure, which sometimes is nice with Fodlan Winds playing in the background while you play, or a complete eye strain like playing with the OG Tetris theme. And you can just mindlessly play Tetris however you like for the most part, but nothing will ever top being able to say, yes, I Tetrised harder than 98 other people. I'm the best. And until the next match when you get knocked out almost immediately.
Number 7.
The best official ROM hack level maker is back and is featured here at the number 7 spot with Super Mario Maker 2. Super Mario Maker 2 is more or less the same game on the Wii U, but adding in a ton of new mechanics and customization. Really, just imagine it and it can more than likely be made. I'm unfortunately not super creative when it comes to making levels. The other one I've made being a level that feels like something you'd find in a Donkey Kong Country game, yet people have made multitudes of good levels and creative levels for any skill level Mario player. Ones that I can note of off the top of my head being Pong and auto levels to an extent. The awesome part of all this is that they included a story mode of sorts. This story mode is a way to get your creative juices flowing and show you what this game can do. This is a really good idea because someone like me, who struggles to come up with level ideas, can play through the story mode and go, oh, I can use this that way! Or I can make a level based around this single object in the toolbox! And though it took a long time to let us do it with our friends, they even added in the ability to play with or against other folks online. Sure, the connection is... yeah, that. But even with that, it is a step in the right direction showing that it may be possible in the future to play traditional Mario games or other platforming games of this sort with our friends. Now get out there and make a badass level worthy of a Nintendo seal of approval.
Number 6.
Roguelikes. Everyone knows of them, some of us live them, and then there's me who loves the masochism that comes with them. And Risk of Rain 2 at the number 6 spot on this list fills this need beautifully. The original Risk of Rain was kinda bad in my eyes. Everything was confusing, all characters were really small, aiming was a pain. You kinda get it at this point. Risk of Rain 2 polished so much that whatever blemish the first game may have put on the series' name has been eradicated. I guess adding that additional dimension was all that was needed. Risk of Rain 2 lets you shoot, fly, jump, loot, hope, and fling yourself, or enemies, through a myriad of levels to reach for the highest score you possibly can achieve, with or without your friends. There's secret objectives that you can complete that will let you unlock new characters, levels, bosses, items, pretty much anything in the game. And really, it feels like there are a lot of items. And at this point, I probably haven't unlocked all the items that are available still. But thinking back on how much I've unlocked in this game, I'm pretty sure I have tripled my available catalog of usable or passive items. The part I enjoy most about this game is how much it can break itself as it ramps up the difficulty while you play. The game spawns so many enemies that it slowly unmakes itself and turns it into a mess, and you hoping you get to live long enough to see the next time the game dips below 10 frames per second. And as time has gone on, Hoopu Games has added more playable characters and occasionally levels, so they are still supporting this game. All in all, Risk of Rain 2 is a package that scratches an itch that all roguelike and roguelite players need scratched.
Number 5.
Letting someone else play with your intellectual property. This is a lesson that Nintendo has been very stubborn to learn. And rightfully so, because if anyone else can make something with your idea, why would they come to you? But this very thing is what nets Cadence of Hyrule my number 5 spot on this list. Cadence of Hyrule is a melding of Legend of Zelda's world exploration and dungeon crawling, with Crypt of the Necrodancers, well, everything. That sounds really disastrous. Considering anytime Zelda has deviated from its set formula, it kind of... yeah, that. But yet, These two worlds meld together without one being overshadowed by the other. It does help that both games in this package do have roots in the same basic concepts of exploration, and this exploration is emphasized thanks to the fact that every playthrough has a route that is randomly generated, which scratches the itch of those that like to do the Link to the Past randomizers. Alright, did you not know that it was a randomly generated game? I'd say mostly randomly generated. You can explore the world as you wish, but certain key points do have to be visited in a certain order in order to complete this game. It also helps that each dungeon you visit does have a requisite middle of the dungeon special item, which helps you traverse the overworld and final area of the game, but let you choose the item that you need to get to the treasure you've been eyeballing on the overworld since you started this game. This game does also reward you for being both thorough and doing traditional Legend of Zelda 100% completion requirements, get all the hearts and find all the upgrades, things of that sort, but also rewards you for steamrolling the game. It also has a little thing hidden within it for those that are really good at Cryptid and Necrodancer's style of control and want a more of a challenge in a one heart only character. I haven't even touched on the thing that you will spend almost all of your time focusing on, the music. These music tracks have had very little influence from Eiji Aonuma or Koji Kondo, yet they feel like the natural progression of what these classical Zelda tunes would be if updated to current musical instrumentations. Those guitar riffs in the Gerudo Desert really get me pumped. The game is even more replayable because if you do another playthrough, you can decide to play as Zelda instead of Link, or vice versa, which can change up how you play the game as a whole, seeing as how each of the three characters has their own character-specific weapon and their own character-specific sub-abilities. Zelda having a rapier that lets her lunge through enemies and Did's fire to attack from far, Link having a great sword for a huge attack radius and his shield for, well, blocking. It's overall an amazing package. It feels like an official game made by fans. It shows that when fans have control, everyone enjoys the end result.
Number 4.
Finding one's true self. A simple yet noble goal, and one that you achieve in my number 4 pick of Indivisible. Indivisible takes you away to a world torn by conflict, all surrounding a being that nearly caused a cataclysm 16 years ago. As Ajna, your goal is to travel the world doing exactly what I described. Find out who you really are. As you travel the world, you learn of other peoples and their cultures. You also learn their fighting styles, pick up their weapons to extend your potential, and even learn how to work better with these people. Plus, you keep them with you forever inside your mind. No, I don't mean as a memory. I mean, literally, they live in your head. It's weird, get used to it. The game itself has you exploring lush, bustling, and other expletives for environments that this grand world lays out before you. And it's exemplified by the Metroid-style exploration. And that exploration, in the Metroid style, is bolstered by those techniques you learn from the people you meet in this vast world. Speaking of those people, they are all not only an extremely diverse cast in terms of voice actors and nationalities, but in the clashing of those personalities and nationalities. Like the 4-foot-tall strongman who wants to do proper combat with a towering Amazoness who is a mother of 2, or the pirate queen of the 7 seas who strikes fear into the hearts of any man, turning to putty when in the presence of the effective genie of this world. Or Razmi.
Ah! It's gonna take my parts!
Aw, it's cute. Hi, little Vitala. Look at all your gross little legs.
That's the thing you were talking about before?
Yeah, they love eating stuff.
Let's not get eaten, Rajmi. Let's keep our parts.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it'll be even cuter when it's on fire.
Razmi is a special case. The biggest thing to take away from this is the locales, painstakingly crafted to wow you with every location you visit. From the steampunk Iron Empire, to the lush jungles, to the neon-littered Neo-Tokyo, and all the characters that are nestled within them, the subtle nods to the not-so-subtle nods to the... Well, that got soured fast.
Number 3.
You know that game that you only play at a friend's house because you don't have the game console your friend has? So you go to their house every waking opportunity you can to play it. Then you become an adult and go, wait, I have my own money. I can get that. And that's what my number 3 pick is with Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. I'm not the best at Crash Team Racing games, as I really didn't have the means to play it when it first came out. But this remake has made me learn tricks that I thought I knew from other kart racers, and even has some things that would hurt the fingers of melee players. But even without doing that, this game is all about the skill of driving rather than being focused on items and their manipulation to steal a victory. Although that is still possible. The developers at Beanox poured a lot of time into this game to make it a perfect recreation of the original PlayStation 1 game, down to the physics remade from the ground up to capture the exact feel of the PlayStation 1 game, so fans of the original game can jump right into this remake and beat it in a matter of hours, again, like it was 1992. And the added bonus is the extra effort that has been put into this game to not only include features, tracks, and characters from the sequel game, Crash Nitro Kart, but also nearly every noteworthy character from every Crash game ever, and even guest characters from other PlayStation titles. And all new tracks that make their kart racing debut here, yet they are crafted carefully enough that they feel like another extension of the game that would have been a beta track or an unused asset from the PlayStation 1 game. Really, at the end of the day, it's just a faithful reimagining of a classic kart racer that, regardless of skill level, everyone can enjoy.
Number 2.
Let's play a fun game. It's called How Can You Upset the Internet? It's oddly simple. Just say something like, my number 2 game of 2019 is Pokemon Sword and Shield. Pokemon Sword and Shield was something magical to me that made me reminisce of when I played the Generation 2 games back when I was 12. I knew what was expected of me to complete the game, but not how to go about doing it. All the new Pokemon fascinated me, but I could still double back to Pokemon I knew if I felt like I was being overwhelmed. The game itself has reverted back to a series staple in completing traditional gyms, but still has the fun challenges to shake up the slog of fighting multiple gym trainers. Now, why do I keep giving all of these comparisons? Because a lot of folks turned down the Sun and Moon games because they were not a fan of the breakaway from gyms or the new Pokedex forced upon you. Well, at least until you completed the game. But your world tends to be nothing but surprises when you don't spoil the game for yourself outside of official announcements. I knew nothing of what this game had in store for me all the way to the very end. This game has a theme about it as well that echoes some of my earlier gripes with the community, but also reflects how I myself have felt recently. The thought that you may have the limelight now, but who will you give it to when that time comes? Lee is the undefeated champion, and his brother looks up to him in every possible way, even mimicking his exact battle style. Opal is in desperate search of her apprentice to take over for her gym. There is even a mother-son duo that run the 7th gym, but one or the other is your opponent depending upon your version of the game. A little headcanon I've been having is that the son defeated his mother and renovated the gym from an ice gym to a rock gym as the successor to the gym's lineage. The new mechanic of Dynamaxing is more interesting than I initially thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be whoever pulls the trigger first loses the fight, but it ends up being a bigger mind game than that, considering your Pokemon will Dynamax at the start of a turn rather than as they do their move. So regardless of if you're the faster of the two or four Pokemon, or if you're the slower one, you will still Dynamax immediately. You still have to play smart with it to outthink what your opponent might do, but you can use it in various battle formats to affect the weather to be beneficial to your whole team, regardless if this is either a singles or a doubles battle. As I said before, this generation of games takes me back to what it was like when I was 12. Familiar, new, and full of wonder. And I really hope I can pass along all of that wonderment to whoever picks up where my Pokemon journey may potentially end. Before we look at my number 1 game from this year, let's look back at all the other choices I've made. See if you can predict what my number 1 game from this year is. Number 10 is Team Sonic Racing. Number 9 is Super Kirby Clash. Number 8, Tetris 99. Number 7, Super Mario Maker 2. Number 6, Risk of Rain 2. Number 5, Cadence of Hyrule. Number 4, Indivisible. Number 3, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. And number 2, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield.
Number 1!
My number 1 game from 2019? To be honest with you, that was kind of hard to decide this time around. Lots of really good games dropped this year, so it's really been hard to narrow down what I think is the best game. But, as I am making this list, I do have the results right here in this envelope. Son of a... Get your ass back here. Luigi's Mansion, as a series up to this point, has been one of my favorite series in Nintendo's history. Which is weird considering you will never catch me playing any horror game ever. But Luigi's Mansion is a love letter to, and a mockery of, the horror genre. I'm getting a bit off track here though. This game is a combination of things from the first two games in the series into one care package with additional features. The exploration and re-exploration of locations once you obtain certain upgrades, leaving the map fully explorable without gating it off behind any episodes or chapters, but still have the gems to collect featured from the second game in the series. What the game series does and what Luigi's Mansion 3 does in spades is character. Telling a story with very few words and paying attention to every facial twitch a character can even have. Like an uncomfortable level of detail. Like, I feel uncomfortable being able to see Egad's pupils at all times, levels of detail. We even have the return of boss ghosts that have different mechanics, appearances, personalities, the works, which is something that Dark Moon was severely lacking. And the inclusion of Guigi is a great way to expand the explorative properties of the game as well. It makes you think more than the mechanics that the last two games have taught you, both in terms of what to look around for, and to make you more attentive of what can hurt you. I have never been so cautious of water in my life. Luigi's Mansion 3 is a game that will be remembered alongside its predecessors as a series full of laughs, charm, and brain-twisting puzzles. So that was my top 10 games of the year. A reminder to you that this is just my personal list. It is not meant to be a dividing round on what actually was the best game this year. And before everyone gets on my case about where's Death Stranding or where's Kingdom Hearts 3, reminder that it's really hard to voice your opinion on a game when you don't even have the system that can play the game in question. Now here's where this comes to. What about you? What were some of your favorite games from this year? Let me know down in the comments below. You can make it as long-winded or as short and sweet as you feel like. And while you're down there making your comment, consider liking the video and subscribing as well, as this does help the channel grow. If you do poke around the channel more to decide if you do want to subscribe to stay up to date with what I do mostly do Let's Play contents on here, but occasionally I'll drop a top 10 or a random stream clip or other things of that sort on here on occasion. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let's kick off the new decade with a bang.